provides a platform for difference in the lives of men and boys in the Cayman Islands.
On the Wrecking Trade, as I get the cue from my producers that we are on, we are live, everything is good to go. My name is Robert Lynch, and welcome to our first show of 2024. It was an incredible year last year, and to this year, we're just going to take it to the next level. Remember to hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up as you join us. It's not just a good job, it's how we let YouTube know that what we talk about here matters. And today we have an incredible conversation where we are talking about female disrespect in relationships with my good friend and host of Just Before You Got Your Bed, Connie J.E. Welcome, Connie. Welcome, Connie.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So glad to be on air with the Wrecking Trade. Great topic. Let's dive in.
Let's dive right into it. And before we jump into it, because I actually have a video for us to review from a great psychologist who explores this, and we're going to break it as we go along to kind of talk about some of the things that he covers. Okay. But when you think about female disrespect, what comes to mind?
The way she makes a man feels.
And I like how you've positioned that, because, and even as we think about this topic, one of the things I've realized is that many women don't actually know what disrespect is, and so it's not even their fault that it happens in one instance. And I say that because in many respects we are to blame, and I say that because we are enthralled by this powerful thing that sits between your legs, and even the thought or the potential of being able to experience it, turns many men into idiots, or it challenges us to use reason. And so because of that experience, sometimes a man will a woman may do something that he's offended by or feels disrespected by, but he doesn't say anything, or he lets it slide. One of the ways I like to put it is, say for instance, a man and a woman, they're married and they've had a wonderful day, right? Things have been going really, really well, but at some point she may say something. Things have been going well, so he thinks, okay, fine, we may have some sex tonight, things won't go nice. But he says something and he now has to process, make the choice. Okay, do I say something and cause a potential fight
And not get any?
and not get any tonight, or do I just let it slide
So I can get some.
so I can get some, right? And here, if he says nothing, sure, he gets some, but he's just signaled to her that that thing that she did was okay. So when she does it again and there's no sex on the table and he gets upset, she's like, what are you talking about? This was fine last week. Why is it not fine now? And so many women feel deceived because they live in this space where sometimes it's fine and sometimes it's not. So that's why we're going to spend some time going through it today, and then see where we're looking at. So right, let's get started with Dr. Orion Taraban.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is how women disrespect men without realizing it, understanding power.
And right there, he says, he makes a couple of distinctions. First up, he says that, hey, if you do want to be in a long-term relationship with someone, with a man, you must recognize that respect is important to him.
Absolutely.
And so when you think through that, you're thinking through, then how is it that it happens from time to time? And so for some reason, we've been living in this space where we've allowed things to happen. Or you have some women who they've been taught that disrespect is okay. And so we're not necessarily speaking to those women tonight. If you feel it's okay to disrespect the man that you're with, we're not talking to you, because we can't help you.
But we want them nonetheless to get the facts and the truth, because I think we all need to relearn this fear. And if we're going to be successful, we all have to understand the dynamics of the two sexes and what is required. And one of the basic fundamental thing is respect.
So let me see if I hear what you're saying, Connie. The women who are okay with disrespecting, you still want to reach out to them because you think they can be saved, you think they can be helped.
Yes, they need to have the facts.
They need to have the facts. All right, we're going to try. So don't change the channel, stick around. But I must tell you that some of the things that we're going to talk about today, they're going to trigger you. So trigger warning. Okay?
Trigger warning.
Trigger warning. All right? All right. So
I have a bottle of water with me when I'm sparked.
All right, then let's dig right into it.
The one thing that you women must absolutely never do to the man with whom you want to have a long-term relationship is disrespect him. This does not mean that you have to respect him, though that would obviously be preferred. Disrespecting someone and not respecting someone aren't the same thing. And this also does not mean that you have to agree with him or approve of everything that he does.
Tell me what your thoughts are.
I like that because then that pushes the era of open-mindedness. And I like that because I think that is also another angle of having a proper relationship.
Nice. And you're right, because here many persons I think believe that if you respect someone or you affirm what they're saying, it means you're in agreement. What we're saying is you don't have to be. No. It's just recognizing that this is important to that person and it's okay.
And the thing is, what I like about that is we always say it, we agree to disagree. And that should be right. Because it's saying then that I respect your opinion and that I rather you tell me how you're feeling really versus telling me a lie. And so then we create this fake ambiance because I'm thinking what I'm doing is okay, but in reality you're allowing it to slide because you may get a gift.
And this works on two sides. You're right. For men are doing it and we're thinking, okay, fine, we want to keep things at peace so that we can maybe benefit. And I want to unpack a little something here. When we talk about sex, we'll talk about sex from the extent that it is carnal. Yes, it is physical release, but there's also another element for men that I think that women may not necessarily be able to fully appreciate, and that is, for many men, this world is a very lonely place. And by lonely, I mean men start out in life without value. Men have to build themselves up, and we'll understand it that the more someone is important or wealthy, you see more people gravitate towards them. So the reverse of that is the less you have,
the less you're seen.
Yeah, people don't really care about you. You have people who come to our church, and because they don't have a lot, they'll come in and they'll sit around and nobody sees them and they walk through the door. While the people who are important, everyone's trying to shake their hand and say something, so they get less interaction. So imagine that man who goes to work. He's not necessarily the boss, the supervisor, or tops.
He's not seen.
He's not seen. So when he comes home, his wife thinks that, okay, he just wants some sex. But it's an opportunity for him to have a fully and complete close connection with another human being.
And that's what it was designed for.
And that is what it was designed for. So, with that, let's continue.
However, it does mean that you have to find a way to disagree or disapprove in a way that does not disrespect him. And trust me, this is possible to do.
So again, this speaks to the women who do it intentionally and they know what they're doing. And so while we said that we weren't what you want them to stay around, so understand that while you're shaking your head and doing all of these eye rolling, that is disrespectful. You know what you're doing. If you want the man that you're with to feel respected, what should they do? Stop it.
Absolutely. Because if the thing is, I believe that what I want is what I'm supposed to give. So if I want respect is something that is earned. I can't expect to be speaking with you like we're having a conversation and then I'm like, and then when I come to you with something serious or something that's touching to me, you do the same thing to me, I'm gonna feel away. And then it boil up again, and then they'll get louder. And then the thing is, and then if you get loud, I'm saying, oh, it's abuse. But if I get loud, the world doesn't look at it as if I'm abusing you. But it can be emotional and psychological too.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you saying that. And women, as you're hearing us talk, and men, this is important for us to understand that these things are happening, and as they become a part of the dynamic, we, as we talk about accountability, responsibility, and masculinity, we are recognizing this is happening, and it's okay for us to set some boundaries. As you said earlier, you want to hear the truth. You want us to represent truth to you, so you can know that if you are submitting to the leadership, you can trust the leadership because he's accurately represented himself.
It's not changing.
It's not changing.
Because I cannot read to know that, okay, he comes in and he sits in the chair he doesn't want to play. You know, like you want to pinch up and play up and whatever. And then I'm supposed to read his mind now to say, okay, if him take off the shoes and him put the left one over there, so, and the right one over there, so it means that he wants to play. Stop sending me mixed signals. Let us keep it straight. I know you can come in and say, today I'm feeling like this. And I can gather how you're feeling, and then I know how to react versus trying to read your expression and read your mind.
So what happens in the situation now, though? Because, and many men have expressed this in that mixed impressions tend to sometimes come a lot from women. Right? You tell us that you want us to tell you the truth, but then when you say, do these pants make me look fat?
No, they don't. I know, it's tricky, right?
It gets tricky.
My gosh,
right?
I know.
And then you cook this nice meal. You spent the whole day cooking the meal. The meal is not the best. Do I tell you that this is horrible? What do I do?
Of course not, you know, because the Lord says we must sprinkle it with a little salt, and have a little flavor. But here's the kicker that I find, however, that when I know that my man is a straightforward man, but he's also compassionate and understanding, it makes a difference. So that when he tells me the truth, it's not done in a way that, you know, you tell me and chop it off and it's done, full stop. I just speak my mind. No. You see, we need, and sometimes women tend to do that too. I'm just going to tell you how I feel. Don't call to me. Don't touch me. And we're done. But in reality, is what I want when I'm vulnerable from you is what I'm to give you as well. So for me, my thing is, what you want from me and what I want from you is what we have to reciprocate each other.
And it doesn't come naturally, so we do have to work at it. And especially for us as men, we do have to work at it a little bit harder because, as you said, to help you to get to that place of being vulnerable, as the leader, I have to start it. I have to set the tone.
And I find as well, Robert, that the key thing is we must be very smart, very wise in the beginning of knowing someone. You know, some people say, well, me tell him how me stay. But our personalities are a bit different. And, you know, as your environment change, you adapt to the environment. So me might be that little nice touchy in that moment here. But something changed in my environment that caused me to be like, I'm a ton roll eye and I'm stiff now, you know? So we are all growing and things are changing around us. We have to adapt. And also that means getting the understanding of a person's background prior, because that is key.
Listen.
My personality is a person a talker, is a person loud, because for me personally, I'm a loudie. And he's a chatter, right? And you might think when I'm talking loud, me upset. But me not upset, you know. You know me upset when me quiet. So you would have to now get to know the person, you know, and I think starting out relationships is key, getting that fundamental information before moving forward.
And as you get that fundamental information, make the decision. Is this comfortable with you, for you, long term?
Exactly.
Because if all that's in your eyes first is for the woman to get the ring, or for you, the man, to get some sex. After you get the ring, or you get the sex, and then now
everything's still.
Are you now in problems?
Of course you're going to problem, because the ring not pretty again and it's not big enough.
And that helps us to figure out, when we're starting about disrespect, when we're talking about disrespect, to be able to set the tone at the beginning. Set your boundaries, understand what is okay for you. And so if it means that, hey, it's not okay with you, that's all right. Shake hands and we will keep it moving on to the next one.
Exactly.
All right, so let's see if we can hear what he suggests now, the psychologist Orion Taraban.
Now, there are some very obvious ways in which women are subject to disrespecting men. They can do this through open mockery and contempt, or passive aggression and neglect, or even physical or emotional abuse. I'm not talking about these things. I take it that the vast majority of women understand that these behaviors are disrespectful and toxic. Rather, today's talk is going to be about ways in which women disrespect men without realizing it. The idea here is to call women's attention to the ways in which they may be inadvertently sabotaging the relationships they want with the men they want to have them with. And keep in mind, I'm not arguing that women have a moral or ethical responsibility not to do these things vis-a-vis men. I'm arguing that women who voluntarily choose not to do these things will be much more effective in achieving their relationship goals. This is all about effectiveness.
And so right here, we're setting the tone, and the tone is, if you want to wring your neck and do all those things, just understand that it's not going to help you. But if you want to increase your success in relationships, there are some things that don't come naturally, but if you pay attention to them, they might have big payoffs.
I agree.
All right, so let's go.
This list is by no means exhaustive, but it should serve as a general template for examining one's behavior in light of this value. As stated in previous episodes, the general rule of thumb when it comes to disrespect is, if you wouldn't say the same thing in the same way to your boss, if you were interested in keeping your job, then you shouldn't say that in that way to the man with whom you want to be in a long-term relationship.
Sticking up in right there, because I know that statement can be triggering for some women. What were your thoughts as you heard that?
I totally agree. I agree. No, think about it. If I wouldn't say to the visitor, the stranger outside, why is it okay to speak to the one that is here? Mind you now, the one that is in the house with you is the person you need for so much support, emotional, financial. You know, what if me drop down or me feel sick and want a cup of tea? I can't pick up the phone and call my boss and respectfully ask him to come over and give me tea. But my partner, my husband is here. And this is a person you want to allow to feel that he's needed, that he's valued. And then he comes back again. When you feed into something, you get to eat it. Because I may plant the tree, I may nurture it, I may water it, I may prune it up or whatever. When it bear beautiful fruit, I'm enjoying it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I completely resonate with you on that. But there's some women who believe that, hey, as they go to work, they have to put on a show. And so part of that is the show that they put on, because they know they need the sustenance. It's a facade. So why should I put on this facade now in my home? Why can't I just be myself?
You should be yourself at home. All of you without the mask. But being yourself without the mask don't mean that I belittle or allow the other person to feel smaller than I am. Because in reality, when you do that, you're losing. You're not winning.
And that's the message. Sometimes when we keep talking about being ourselves, for some reason, ourselves seems to gravitate to the
like
lowest common denominator, as opposed to our higher aspirational selves. Yourself is that self that you're trying to align with God as well. Not just the one who, I will tell you a couple things. No, that's not yourself.
That's true. And the thing is, if you believe in God and believe that his principles are true, don't think by any means that anything you did was overlooked. And don't think that anything that you did wrong, there isn't a consequence to that. And the very treasure you may have at home by your dirty attitude and behavior.
Say it again.
Your dirty attitude and behavior. No, but seriously, you can lose the treasure. Sometimes, as the saying goes, cow no use time tail till him lose it. And when the man, and funnily, you know, what I find is that some women, they you can't even buy this, or boy, me wish Robert I did my husband, because look how Robert do that and Robert do this, right? Then James go away to my neighbor.
And she's giving him the respect and he's flourishing.
Oh, and him start to blossom. And then I'm like, God, me can't get him back. When?
Never.
So we have to think about those consequences, because I might jokingly say it, but that's a reality. And these are things that have happened before, scenarios that have played over persons. They never knew the person they had until they've totally destroyed it, and they wish they could just go a year back. And so forth. You can't take that back. So when you're going into a relationship, you must understand what it entails, that the person you're going into a lifelong relationship with, their total being is your responsibility, and God holds you accountable.
And I love the analogy that you use in terms of a garden, because as you're planting a garden today, you might just see earth because the seed is there, it's germinating, but all I'm seeing is earth. It's understanding that, hey, as the gardener, you're watering because in faith, you know that you're helping this relationship. All right.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
So we're not only talking about criticizing and demeaning language, like word choice, we're also talking about nonverbal cues of disrespect, like eye rolling or dismissive sighing or haughty body language, etc. As we'll see, most of these behaviors involve women inappropriately assuming more power than is warranted in their intimate relationships, which is emotionally perceived by men as disrespect. Let's jump right into it.
Just underscore the idea of power, the power dynamics in relationships. Because even as we have this conversation about equality, there's something that we discount, and it's the thing that I mentioned or suggested earlier in terms of the impact of sex or the impact of that sexual potential. So even though we're equal, understand that because the man is, whenever someone is seeking something, they naturally fall into a lesser position because the person who is now giving the thing has a position of power. So when we're talking about equality,
and in reality, I think when it comes to the sexual aspect, women have the upper hand. I do believe that because, anywhere the men, because men, they work from sight. It's what they see that turns them on, your body, whatever you're wearing. You understand? And trust me, and when the desire is there, you don't even have to have good shape. You're just availability.
Yes.
Right? And so I know women have that. And men love the fact that women exert that power on them. They love it. You tell them what to do, how you want them, and it's very nice because guess why? You are sharing with them. They're going to they're going to feast without hindrance. Can I say that?
Say it.
Right. Right? And so,
to the extent
for them,
jump in there,
men love it. Men think that, or men take it as respect and love.
And to the extent that you're saying you're sharing yourself, it is understanding, because sometimes she can be there and it's lackluster and you don't feel that connection. But when you have that full invitation, that welcome where she's fully engaged and involved, the connection now, and not just talking about the physical, but that emotional connection is that much stronger because you're now in the same place with this person fully and completely. Both of you are in the middle of desire.
Exactly. And can you imagine how nicer it is when she's the one who initiates versus you have to be asking
all the time. All right, so this one about inappropriate questioning, many women will find themselves going, why we can't ask him questions? But here, let's hear what our psychologist says.
The first way that women disrespect men without realizing it is through inappropriate questioning. The ability to ask questions is a privilege that is awarded to those with more power. Have you ever been arrested? In the interrogation room, you don't get to ask the officers questions. They do. Just like they say in all the cop dramas, hey, we're the ones asking questions here. Have you ever attended a session of the Supreme Court? During oral arguments, the justices are empowered to ask the attorneys present as many questions as they want, even interrupting their responses to ask even more questions if necessary. The attorneys never get a chance to grill the justices. Why? Because the court wasn't convened to answer to the lawyers. That would be an inappropriate usurpation of authority. Women, when you interrogate men by questioning their intentions, their whereabouts, their motivations, their choices, you are basically communicating that you believe that you occupy a more powerful position relative to them. You communicate that you believe that you have a right to know certain things and that you believe he must answer to you. And it's only the less powerful who must answer to the more powerful, never the other way around. This is functionally placing yourself in a higher position relative to that man, which will absolutely be perceived as disrespect. Find ways to learn what you want without prying or interrogating. despite what you believe, no man has any obligation to answer to you.
What are your thoughts on that one? I know some triggers. Right?
Yeah, go sure. If you, let me drink some water
Drink some water.
first.
I know. Again, ladies, trigger warning. I know some of you stayed. You weren't into this whole respect thing, but you stayed. So again, trigger warning. Inappropriate questioning.
Now, I totally agree. One side, and then one side me have to say, in that, I do believe that no one owns anyone. So if he stays out, and he's, mind you now, we're talking about respect here. So if my husband decides that after work he made a decision, meet up with a friend, or he had something to do, whatever it is, he didn't get a chance to say, Connie, I'm gonna be about an hour or two or whatever, and he comes in.
Didn't get a chance to say?
Yeah, because what I feel is that
He needed to?
he doesn't need to. This is what I'm saying. No one owns anyone, and I don't believe it is right for me to say, so why you gonna be out there? How long you gonna be? That's not my place. He's not a kid. So he's not my child. And vice versa. I don't expect him to do that to me either. Like I said, for me, is what I want, I'm gonna give. But I do believe, out of respect and the fact that I care about you, you love, or we're in love. If you see that you're normally home, I know your coming home time is normally between 6:30 and 7. When I see 7 come, and I say, maybe traffic. Then me see 8 o'clock come, and I say, wonder if something is wrong. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab my phone and say, honey, what happened? Were you there? I'm not asking him that for him to relate or tell me as if I'm the boss. When I am asking him that out of care and concern and the fear that I have in me, not off of a ownership, not putting it out there as an inappropriate question. But you see, we have routines that we've come familiar with. When my husband is coming home, me know him leave work 5:30. So I when me look on traffic and everything, me know what time he come home. And I do that because I know my husband like him food hot. So if I cook the food, say, and the food done from 4 o'clock, me know say by the time he come home, in a warm. So boom, me put in a microwave, and me come in knowing like when I sit across on him while he's eating, we are chatting. Me know him like that. So when me see 7 come and me put the food in a microwave and me say, Dan, I'm not saying it him need to make me know. No, I'm saying out of respect for our relationship, let me know so the car tire flat. Let me know you went by Robert. You know, saying, honey, I'm not sure when I'm going to be, but I'm with the boys. Cool. So at least me have an idea. Because we stay up for you. And vice versa too. If I'm out, me not expect you to draw a sheet and lock your eye. You're supposed to be alert till I come in. And I expect the woman to do so for the man.
So here's the message in the middle of that. Understanding that respect is important to the man. When you call, even though you're saying, hey, wonderful thing, I want to get the dinner on the table at the right time, I want to do all these things. But when you pick up the phone and you say, well, you're there, I don't have any of that context. So right in that position, and remember, what we're talking to is women who are doing this unintentionally. Just like you said, your intentions are good, but you just called me to ask me where you're there. Which means you just called me to interrogate me.
Well,
again, it wasn't your intent.
Yeah, but you see, that's how you probably interpret
and
it.
so that's why we're talking about female disrespect, how the man interprets it. How much more wonderful would it be to go, hi honey, I was expecting you at 6 o'clock and I wanted to have the dinner ready for you and all those things to make sure it's the right time. If you let me know what time, I can make sure. How does he feel differently?
No,
then?
but here one
Stay
now.
with me.
No, stay with you.
So I'm
with you.
How do you think he'd feel differently
Okay.
from that response as
All
opposed
right.
to where you're there?
So no, here's the thing, and I'm gonna use this thing. Because I'm a Jamaican.
No, don't change the channel yet.
No, me not. Hold on. No, me not. I'm right here. Inappropriate question. And how we making the man feel. All right. So we have this saying in Jamaica, like you'll come and you say, so are you a man that? And you say, no, child. And you say, so Robert, no call you from the incident. No, me girl. You hear my dialect and the choice of words that I use gives the appropriate answer to the question. So you can read into my answer, what I'm trying to say to you, and I say, no child and no girl, right? When in getting to know you before we got married, you know how me talk. You know my love languages. You know if I'm a touchy or a verbal, and you know how I correspond with you. So when we pick up the phone now, and it can't be that I'm subjected to the point of whether it's standard English or I'm writing the appropriate essay or sentence line. It must be, however, that irrespective of how I speak with you, my respect must be communicated to you. So even though me say, "Were you there?" is not in the sense that me I say, "Oh, were you there?" Why, I mean, I do it with the neck and the eye roll.
So let me help you here. And again, this right here is critical. You don't intend to do this. What we're trying to unpack here is how the man receives it. So it's not about how you meant it or even your dialect. It's understanding what that man needs to hear and how he receives. So even though you may say, "Were you there?" in your nicest voice, a "were you there?" is still, for a man, an interrogation question.
And you must understand, that a nice sentence can be the interrogating to you.
Hold on again.
Darling,
Hear me out. So notice, built into my sentence, whether you say it in English, patois, or Chinese, built into the sentence before the question was, I was declaring my intent. Your intent in making the phone call was to let him know that you appreciate him. You
and
want
I'm
to
concerned.
Have dinner. No. Hear me out. Hear me.
Okay, got it.
And you want to have the dinner ready for him. You want to give him a gift. Without that context, when you just go right to, "Were you there?" that's an interrogation without context. And that's what many women miss. Because in your head, you know why you're asking the question, but the man doesn't. You don't know what he's in the middle of. He could be in the middle of something where "were you there?" is like just another annoyance on top of what he's already dealing with.
I get you, and I see your point,
Yes.
and you're right. And my thing is as well, like I'm not overshadowing what you said because you're perfectly right. It all depends on what is happening, the situation. I don't know. I'm not seeing, but I believe as well when you and I get to understand each other, that you can know when a one word from me is a one word of love or sprinkled with love versus if I speak nicely or I set a tone, I'm also being manipulative. So I can say, "Darling, I was so worried about you. I wanted to have the dinner ready for you at 7 at your usual time, but I haven't seen you."
Let me
What
take it out to
could
the
be
English
the
for you.
problem?
Let me take it out to the English for you. Because you can say it in patois, say, "Baby, me miss you, me don't want to have the dinner ready right away as soon as you come in, so let me know what time you're coming in so I can..." See? So
But I can manipulate you with that too.
But you're missing the point of what I'm trying to say to you.
No, me not miss the point. What I'm saying to you is that I agree with you that sometimes if you come off, the way you come off, depending on the circumstances, can trigger